Whoops, I forgot to put myself in there for the audio. Thanks, David. Take two. Okay. Hi, everybody on YouTube and over here on Substack. And I'm going to talk briefly about what happened yesterday. I just went over it without going on stage to turn the mic on. And so yesterday we kind of retested this. We were kind of near the orbit of that 5,900-ish level. We were 5,910. Once we broke 5,900 yesterday, we had a news related event. I forgot what ISM whatever, and that created the weakness that we broke down here. Once we broke 5,900, the 5,875, the round number always seems to have action. We kind of had a sharp drop down toward the 5,850 level, never quite made it, and we got the reversal here. Price action 101, look left, as my TA mentor used to say, and here's where the buyers are supposed to step up, and here's where they did. From a gamma point of view, we had short options down below. We also had closing of long puts, and that sent us back up into the orbit of the 5,900. Stuck around the 5,900, 5,910 for a while. Then long options started coming in. People started closing. There were short options right around 59, 15, 20. Once those started closing, customer short, market maker long, once those started closing, they lost their suppressive effect. And then up we went. And then end of the day, scalpers and whether they were people actually closing the short options or enough people buying them to make the market maker short those options doesn't really matter. What matters is that at the end of the day, market makers were increasingly short gamma up in this zone. And so they chased and up we went to close near the high of the day. Overnight session, pullback weakness, not surprising. Kind of gave back a lot of the gamma run up we had. And China news, China PMI, we pulled back, and now here we are bouncing. We have jolts today. I'm not sure. We have jolts today, um, which is job openings, and the job openings today. I'm not sure what the numbers were. I don't really care about the numbers. I care about the market reaction. The numbers are for the algos that are smarter than me and have more money than me to decide. I'm gonna be swimming in the vapor stream of the whales. And so now we're right in the middle of the zone. So let's talk about the setup we have today. Today we have a somewhat unusual setup in that we have customers long iron condors. Now, some people call it a reverse iron condor. The overly literal word guy teacher in me wants to just kind of say something. An iron condor is a structure uh, where where you're long an option, short an option. Traditionally, option structures, whether they're verticals, a call or a put, are considered long. Customer buys them. So what we traditionally trade, and I'm going to talk about iron condor setups in a minute, is we sell iron condors. So today somebody bought an iron condor. People sell or buy straddles. People sell or buy strangles. People sell typically buy butterflies. There's different option structures, and the default nomenclature is based on the idea of people buying them. Okay, so The the log structure here, and let me go to a different chart. I guess kind of be easier to see it if I can find it here. Let's go over here. Let's go over here and let's go to SPX. This is mental Q, and then we're going to look at options depth. I use mental Q. I use options depth. I use spot gamma. I use gamma edge. I use every tool I can get because I do this for a living. And friend of mine that does construction gets the best tools he can get and doesn't mind having redundancy in case tools is not the exact perfect tool for the job. I don't mind redundancy in my tools either. This is what I do. And so what's going on here is we have a customer long the 59.55 call, short the 59.60. So the bet is that we go above 59.60. He needs a close above 59.60. I'll get back to that in a minute to make money, or a close below 59.10. On the bottom, he's long 59.15, short 59.10. Two five wide long structures that he paid around 290 ish for. I saw them come in last night after the close. They came in after the close. Some of us thought, oh, is that the IC whale? But it's not. The size didn't fit the IC whale, and the structure didn't fit the IC whale. And if you're watching on YouTube and you don't know who the IC whale is, the IC whale is a large retail, small private family office hedge fund that does these trades periodically, selling iron condors that typically end up framing the price action of the day. But it's not the IC whale. It's somebody who bought basically inside the expected move. And a quick, easy way of knowing that without looking at your chain, a 20 delta option is going to be roughly the expected move. That's what the IC whale usually sells. These were buying about the 30 delta. Don't quote me. I don't remember exactly. They were. That's why I was surprised as soon as I looked at it. Wait, that's a 30-something delta. Um, so that's what the person bought, saying that volatility is too compressed. We're chopping in the zone. I'm guessing their bet. I'm not a mind reader. Traders eye factory orders, job openings as equity futures turn flat before the bell. So I'm not sure what time those numbers come out. If somebody knows and wants to put it in the chat, that's cool. Um, so what am I expecting today? These two long strikes kind of become magnets, but we also have a math equation dance between the volatility and the attractant potential of the 55 calls and the 15 long puts with the added 5,900 market maker generally long gamma supportive flow, also supportive TA level, kind of all putting their thumb on the scale, which could easily be a chop day, 15, kind of chopping right in here. Wouldn't be surprised to see us shoot up to the top of the range and stall, shoot down to the bottom of the range and stall, maybe a little overcut or undershoot and come up. However, and then we're going to switch to options depth in a second. If we meaningfully break 5,900, come down here and don't mean revert back up, if then there's really nothing from a gamma point of view. There's something from a price action point of view, the 58.60. From a gamma point of view, remember, that's kind of what I do. There's nothing to really stop us from going all the way down to here. As one of my former mentors and buddies, Paul Duncan from the Gamma Edge, used to always say, don't torture the data. Don't make up data to make something sound good or to fit a thesis that I want to have. The data doesn't support much. down there. All right, now I'm going to switch gears real quick to a few things. And today's just an experimental deal on YouTube. We're going to try it out. If anybody wants to comment in the stage, feel free. I invited some of my buddies to show up. They're not here. I'm going to have to chew them out. I'll do that later. Meantime, let me switch to options depth. Okay, we were on mental queue before. Now I'm going to switch screens to options depth. Okay. So here's what options depth is showing us. Let me go up over here. So this is the market maker's position. Now, when I look at options depth, it's really not as complicated as it may look. When I see bars to the right, that's kind of support or resistance. So should stall here, should stall here or mean revert, should stall here. When I see bars to the left, they're magnets. So if over this, magnet here. If over this, stall over here at 59.30, but it's a small amount. Stall over here. If over this, kind of a weak zone, magnet up here, stall here, stalling short options up on top, but we have some long ones here. So we have lots of spreads, long spreads, short spreads that make it not quite as clear. Now, below 5,900, like I said, there's nothing to support us from a gamma point of view in today's zero-day structure until down here, until 58.50. You know, we have, if anything, we have a few magnets down here. Now, to help you see what the actual positioning is, I'm going to go to customers positioning and going to apply that. And I'm going to make it so that you can see where the puts and calls are. Okay, so here we can see real cleanly what customers did. And here's that big structure, the iron condor. They are long in iron condor, 59.15, 59.10. Here's their short. It's around 2,000-ish contracts. Why isn't it exactly equal? Because they're not the only people on the planet that have positions there. That's why. So customer buys or sells, market makers buy or sell from their inventory. And then on top of that, I might have a trade there. You might have a trade there. Another institution might have a trade there. So you're not going to, very rarely are you going to see it perfectly aligned like that. Very rarely are you going to see, the exact same numbers. Similarly on the call side, 59.55, 2,000, almost 3,000 contracts. I think that was kind of the original size. I don't remember when the trade came in. One of my buddies alerted me to it. He's real good at when these trades come in, especially after hours. He's on it. He has his own spreadsheet, API, whatever it is that you kids do, that tells him instantly. And so I appreciate him alerting me. It takes a village, as they say, not a political statement. It takes a tribe. We're tribal people at heart, hunter gatherers. Takes somebody in the hunter gatherer village to let us know if there's a lion nearby. 59.55, 59.60. So here's a long debit spread. Now up here we have We have a call small, a call debit spread 59.65 to 70, 59.75 to 80. Now up here we have starting some option sells who's saying we aren't going to get there. Here we have a long. I'm guessing this is the other side of some of these shorts. They bought whatever and sold whatever, like I like to do. And then up ahead, up above, we have the 6,000 sold, no shock. So very little risk of us going up there today. To the downside, what do we got going on here? We have customers buying the 5850 puts. They've been buying them religiously, for lack of a better word. Um, they've also been buying the 5800s. They finally flipped to selling them. So the bears or the hedgers have given up on the idea of 5800, at least just for today, as they say. Um, I'm not sure why the number. Oh, there's a puts. Okay, so at 5840 we have puts and calls. So we have a battle. We have sellers of the calls. We have buyers of the puts, and so it nets out that the puts win. And as we go down, those deltas increase, and that's why that gets more dangerous from a gamma point of view. Position size versus gamma is different. Positions, I like to look at position size because that's going to be static. And as we go down, I can mentally interpolate that the gamma is going to go up. Again, not rocket science. For those of you that are familiar, delta of the option and the gamma that's associated with it goes up as price moves in that direction. And of course, you can flip to gamma on the platform here on the option set platform. And so here we are. Here's a market maker positioning. Here's the heat map, which takes the entire complex into account, not just this is just the zero DTE, just today's option. And so with the entire complex taken into account, we see a generally supportive light blue. We're in a broadly positive gamma environment. Um, Pet peeve, I don't like someone, I don't like it. Not that I have a choice, not that's up to me to like it or not. When I hear somebody say we're in positive gamma or in negative gamma, once again, my overly literal person who likes words brain lights up and says we're not really in anything. We are in relationship with different structures of positive and negative gamma. This is negative gamma. I don't care what you think we're in. This is negative gamma. This is positive gamma. I don't care what you think we're in. So there's features that are attractant and repellent, and that's what I look at. I try to get my mind. I've trained myself not to think of that. Now, in the back of my mind, I know that yes, we're broadly supportive. And, yeah, and I guess the supportive thing, this is not the positive, we have long calls here at 5830. Those are going to charm up to one delta. They're probably already a pretty high delta. So I don't know that there's much room for them to go up. And that's basically it. Let me see if I have the charm. Okay, so here's today's charm. I got all these three synced. So let's see if the syncing feature works. I guess going to try to give us the days range. Okay, so here's the likely days range. And here you see the red is positive gamma, attractant. Excuse me, negative gamma, attractant. Now at 59.15, the negative gamma is not as much of an attractant. Why? Because throughout the chain, we have enough positive gamma in this area to mute the effect of it. So while the zero DTE structure says below this is Danger Will Robinson, the background structure says we have some support. So what's the pinfluence today? Well, we tend to pin, and this profile sake, he's a professional market maker who taught market makers for years. So humility is understanding my assets and liabilities. And I know that a market maker who taught market makers for more than a decade knows more about how market makers function than I do. Um, he says, and I've taken his courses, and anybody could take his course if you want to become, learn more about it. I've taken as many courses as I can take in my spare time. Spent a nice chunk of money doing it, but that's okay. Um, we don't close on this suppressive charm number. The market maker hedging is going to put us somewhere on the crease, in theory, of with the yellow suppressive on top and the blue supportive beneath. Now, of course, we could be anywhere here. And of course, this is based on the positioning at the opening of the day. If spot moves up, this changes. So intraday, this changes. But I have found, and others have noticed as well, even though we move around the cabin a lot, this ends up being a pretty good snapshot of the possible pins. So possible pin number one, 25.30, basically flat. Possible pin number two, right here at this 45 crease right in here. Next pin up here, and we have this whole big zone here that you can't really predict. And we have this whole big wide zone of supportive charm, supportive gamma, supportive charm, with really the only turd in the woodpile being over here. So below 75, we get caught in here. Above this feature, we're somewhere in here, anywhere between 10 and 80, so it's kind of wide. Now I've overstayed my welcome because I plan to be done by 9 o'clock, but I like to talk. Most of my friends that know me, like my buddy Will, I see there, know I like to talk. Um, so what am I going to do for an iron condor? Next time I'll pull up an option chain and have it ready. But for an iron condor, I'm going to look to sell. Where am I going to look to sell? So I'm going to switch to market maker positions, net, apply. And I just like to be out of the danger zone. There's definitely other ways to do it, sell 5 or 10 wide. So I mean, if you want to sell a narrow iron condor, maybe sell. So remember, this is resistance. Let's pretend we'll call it that. So anywhere above here, in theory, should hold. In theory, above 85 should really hold. And in theory, above here even more. So I would look. I'm going to look 70, 80, somewhere up in here to sell on top. And I've got a few layers to get through before we get there. I have this 90 magnet. I'm not crazy about it, but that is the other side of some of this stuff. An 80, 90 spread. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a spread that's in there. And to the bottom, I don't want to be anywhere near this 5,900. I don't know that it'll break. I think we'll probably just end up in here. But caution dictates me being below 58.50. Just again, TA 101 below that local low. 58.43 was the 5-day low. So I'd like to be below there. Oh, below 58.10. That would be great if I can get below 5,800 somewhere in here. So I'm going to look at an option chain and I'll put it in. And for the paid subscribers, I put in my trades, not investment advice. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just telling you what I do. You do what you want. It takes a village, and we talk about the trades, and that's it. Okay, I just got word the YouTube live stream is working perfectly. See that? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm a 72-year-old technophobe who somehow, hey, this technology is pretty cool. These kids figured something out. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to end the stream now. Let me just take one last look at the Mentor Q. I do some, I used to do more mod stuff for them. I still do some. Good guys. I like them. So let me share the screen, look at their product again for a second. And also let me pick my TV script. Okay, so they have two features. They have the end of day feature, yes, and then they have an intraday update. So here's the intraday update. And that's just kind of based on volume, but it just shows you where the which way the puck is going. And so with the intraday, they have this roadmap feature. What I like, it just kind of gives us zones. I don't believe in sharp lines, like when I see TA people say over 59, 43, and 72 cents. I'm sorry, I roll my eyes. I'm sorry. I look at it in 5 and 10 point zones. I trade zones or areas. I draw my lines with a magic marker or a paint roller, not with a fine tooth pencil. And if you read my daily plan, you see that. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm saying that's what I do. Um, and so we could see here, this 40 area, yesterday's high. It wouldn't surprise me to see some buyers come in here. Um, but if and it wouldn't surprise me to see both extremes tested. Lately, we've been popping on the open and then selling back in the morning and then grinding back up. And here just kind of shows you the features. Now, this is my TV string. And again, nothing magic here. I just take my if then daily plan that you guys at the paid subscribers get, and I give freebies to free subscribers sometime. I don't really care too much about that stuff. And I just make it into a TV string. And the way you do that, ChatGPT taught me $ SPX. I forget what, I have to check the syntax. SPX, then the label, so magnet, then the number, then a semicolon, whatever the syntax is. And you just stick it in one of these slots that lots of people have. I just get it from my friends that make this stuff. Most of you have them. And that's the TV string, not magic. This is just my levels for me to visualize nice and easy. So here's the 59.55 magnet, top of the chop zone. Over here, here's those features I talked about. So basically, everything we talked about is right here on this. And my friend Nanda makes up the cheat card on a spreadsheet. I don't even have a spreadsheet on this computer, folks. I am not the spreadsheet person. I don't even have a spreadsheet on this computer. So she makes it up on a spreadsheet, and yeah, quick anecdotal thing, and then I'm going to close it up. So my dad owned a literally mom and pop clothing store in New York on Orchard Street, if anyone's familiar. And he ran his business on the back of business cards, because why waste money on the back of his business cards, or on the back of a paper bag. Again, why waste money? If a customer brought back a paper bag, returned an item, then on the back of the paper bag is where he would do his figuring and keep track of stuff and kind of write it down manually and have paper bags and business cards is what the books were. So I grew up watching that. I also grew up watching him and listening to him buy stocks on the phone and kind of day trade stocks on the phone in 1980 whatever. So he'd call the broker. So anyway, not to digress. Um, I don't have the spreadsheet, but my friend Nanda does. I'm going to check and see if she has the. When I sign off, I'll see. And for the paid subscribers, I'll send out the cheat card on a separate note or post, whatever it's called. And I'll throw it in the Substack chat. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Have a good day trading.